Am I the asshole for not wanting to mend things with my daughter? My ex and I, 49M, were married for 2 years and had a daughter before I discovered her affair, but she took her own life during the divorce. I stayed close to my in-law because I didn't want to take away their granddaughter, but that was a mistake because they secretly hated and were turning my daughter against me. By the time I found out, it was too late and daughter hated. She was fighting with me, broke many things in the house and ran away multiple times. I tried to explain to her what happened, but she wouldn't believe me. My family also tried in vain. At one point, I couldn't take it anymore and let her go live with her grandparents, and she cut all contact. After a year of waiting, I had enough and moved to Canada to try to build my life. She was 14 when I left. Recently, I learned that my father passed away and I wanted to fly back, but my brother told me that my daughter was present. Apparently, as she grew up, she understood many things and realized her grandparents were lying. She cut contact with them and was rebuilding a relationship with my brother and father. They didn't let her contact me because I was still in a bad place. And frankly, I still am. I'm not sure I want her in my life again. I know she was just a kid back then, and now she is an adult, 22F now. But even with that, I'm not sure. I need advice. Edit. I am quite surprised by the replies. I asked for help with my daughter and what I get are attacks to my manhood. It is quite funny when I receive messages of people insulting and telling me to grow up when these people are reaching out to me and insulting me because they were displeased by my story, a story they saw on internet too. The adult thing to do would have been to simply not reply. Thanks to those who provide answers and support. I really appreciate it. Anyways, I called my brother back and we agreed that we'll try to repair our relationship after the funeral. For now, we'll mourn my father.
Am I the asshole for saying that my ex-husband was just like his father because he canceled on our daughter yet again? I'm making this fairly quick. I feel like I went a tad bit far with my comment, so half and half on if I'm the AH at the moment. So me, 36F, and my ex-husband, 38M, were together for 6 years, married for 2 before he left me. At the time, our daughter was a year old. She's now 5. There were no warning signs. I left go to a grocery shop, came home to him and his clothes/things gone, left a note saying he was in love with a new woman and wanted a divorce. Just like that. I got absolute no closure from that. Any calls or messages were dodged, even when they were about our daughter, literally nothing. During our divorce, he tried to fight for full custody despite at this point not having seen her for 6 months, which was denied because he was in the military and at times constantly moving. I got full custody, got supervision with holidays if he's not deployed. Shortly after our divorce, he married his now wife and they settled down in the city we live in. He's still in the military, but now he's on a specific base. I asked if he wanted to revise the custody since he was no longer traveling. He said no need and he wants to take things slow. Since our divorce, he has maybe seen her 11 times. Over 4 years? And mine literally lives in the same city. Travel isn't a problem. My daughter isn't there for this, just to process the absence/broken promises from her father. Typical I'll pick you up this weekend, only to bail last second. Anyway, on to the issue. I got a call from him Friday night. He was supposed to pick our daughter up at 8 a.m. Saturday. I got a call at 1 a.m. because I was up working, and he basically says that he can't take our daughter this weekend. After some back and forth, he says it's because his wife is upset with him spending time with her, and that's she gets jealous. Yes, jealous of a 5-year-old. Absolute piss steak. I've been fairly cooperative this entire time, but Jesus, I was just so upset, like a buildup of emotions. I just started yelling at him, calling him a sack of shit and a disgrace. I mentioned our daughter being in therapy, how upset she was seeing some of the other kids with dad. In preschool, there was this dad day where the kids brought their dads and do activities with them. They had a mom day the previous week, and he promised to show but pulled out last minute. I had to give her a sick day because she was so upset. So I really started going in on him. He gets angry and starts yelling and cussing back. Eventually, he got quiet, and I ended up saying, you know what's really funny? Our entire relationship made a big show about how much you hated your dad, how horrible he was to your mom and siblings, how your biggest fear was becoming like him. But honesty, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree because you are just like him. This was said in anger. He isn't exactly like his father, but there's were similarities, which was why I said it. His father cheated on his mother, abused them, and eventually left and abandoned them for another woman. Take out the abuse part, in my opinion, they're the same. He didn't say anything for a couple of seconds, said Jesus Christ, and then he just ended the call. I haven't had contact him since then. I absolutely did not feel bad at the time. I felt like my words were justified, but the longer it waits, the more I feel like I went far. I ended up telling my parents what I said, get some feedback, and they said it was cruel and unnecessary. So, am I the asshole?
I, 49F, overheard a conversation between my husband, 47M, and his sister, 43F, about how the reason why my daughter, 24F, is so messed up is because I was a bad parent. I don't even know how to proceed after hearing that. My first husband died when my daughter was only 1 year old. I was left to raise her all alone. Although my brother effectively stood in as her father, she had a relatively normal childhood. I was lucky that I did not have to work and that my family stepped in so much to help me raise her. Around her teen years, she started exhibiting some worrying behavior. Lots of aggression, hostility, neuroticism, etc. She was very productive and did amazing in school and never got involved in drugs or anything. But her personality changed to become quite cruel and intimidating. I honestly have no idea how it happened or why this change happened with her. She refused any form of counseling or mental health treatment, convinced there was nothing wrong with her. I hate to describe it this way, but the way she treated me and my brother was abusive. She went out of her way to make me feel bad about my weight, my looks, my lack of education, my clumsiness, etc. on a near daily basis. She would do things to embarrass me in public and clearly take pleasure out of seeing me upset or ashamed. She wasn't just like this to me, she also effectively lost all of her friendships, all of her relations with other family, over her behavior. And it wasn't just teasing. If you frustrated her, she would become terrifyingly angry and even physical and destructive. It was the most harrowing years of my life to see my own daughter turn into this cruel, horrible person. The worst part was that she would go back and forth between being kind and sweet to me and acting like she was some amazing person, and then switch into being cruel. I just bit my tongue. I literally was too scared to talk back to her. There was a time where I tried to rein it in, but eventually I just couldn't deal with it anymore. She left home at 18 and rarely visits. She lives 500 miles away in New Jersey, working towards a career in finance. When I do see her, she acts fine and friendly, but there are moments where I can see her cruel side is still very much there. I remember when she visited for a whole weekend and was totally fine, and then at the end she threw a huge fit at me over dinner being made too late in the night and started screaming at me, calling me dumb, pathetic, ugly, breaking her plate on the ground, and then laughed at me when I started to cry. Very classic behavior. It was almost like she had planned to act nice all weekend just to trick me. Anyways, you get the gist. It has been a constant source of pain for me. I met my husband 5 years ago and married him 3 years ago. My daughter has been nothing but sweet to him when they have met, and so it can be difficult for him to absorb why we are a bit distant. But other family members on my side have assured him what I say is true, so it's not as if he doesn't believe me about her problems. My husband had his family over for dinner. We had a fun time, and I went to bed. I could still hear my husband in the living room drunk chatting with his sister, who is basically his best friend. Our house has very thin walls. I heard them discuss my daughter, and I was just astounded. She brought up how kids don't just randomly end up that way, and that there has to have been something to make her that way. And he said how I tell him I was this good parent, but he doesn't really think that is true, because if that were true, she wouldn't have ended up that way. He said he isn't sure if I abused her or beat her or something like that. This is paraphrasing heavily. Their conversation went on for easily 20 to 30 minutes. It sounded like they had talked about this before. My husband said that even if I was a horrible parent, it means nothing to him because we aren't having kids. He also mentioned how no mother ever admits they are bad parents and that he doesn't think I would ever admit to being one. But he did say that it's fucked up to mess someone up for life like that and then deny it. I was just astounded. Just to be clear, I do think something probably triggered her to end up like that, but I spent years trying to get her to open up, go to therapy, anything, and there was nothing. I made her talk to a counselor and she didn't take it seriously at all. I have talked with my husband about those years extensively. I have even told him exactly what his sister said, that I think it came from something, I don't know what. I know my grandmother was a very cruel woman, and maybe it was just a genetic thing passed down, but I can't say. I am just so deeply hurt by his comments that he doesn't believe me. I am his wife. We are completely honest with each other. Well, I thought we were. And yet at the same time, I don't blame him. He is completely correct that horrible mothers don't ever admit they are horrible mothers. I know I have met plenty, and I also do not blame him for ever bringing up these suspicions. Could you imagine telling your wife might have been a horrible abusive mother, basically implying I am lying? Even if he does think that I was, I simply cannot blame him for not ever bringing this up to me. But it doesn't mean I am not deeply, deeply hurt by the fact that he thinks this about me. It's been one day and I haven't brought it up. I just don't know how. For one, I eavesdrop. That is not okay. But two, it's just UNCOMFORTABL to talk about. What do I do? How do I bring this up to him? What do I even say? TLDR, I overheard my husband and his sister talk about how the reason why my daughter is so messed up is because I abused her. I did not, and I told him that. My 41F husband, 46M, is not contributing to our home. What should I do? I, 41F, have been married to my husband, 46M, for 11 years. We had a pretty standard marriage in the beginning, but there were some red flags that I chose to ignore. My husband, let's call him Bob, is a bit overbearing and loud. It can be intimidating at times, but my children from a previous relationship love him and call him Dad. Bob and I married in 2013. It was a very happy time for us as his family welcomed me and my girls with open arms. The problems started shortly after. later. But for the main issue, 2019 I bought our dream house. This purchase was not made on a whim, but with careful thought and budgeting. Bob and I came to an agreement that bills will be split 60/40ths, with me paying the 60% since I made a little more than him at the time. All bills were paid as agreed the first month. The second month he was short. Then he told me his check was being garnished. I understood and told him that I would pay a little more until the garnishment was satisfied. 9 months later he told me that the garnishment was done and will be able to pay his portion of the home expenses as agreed. He didn't pay his portion as agreed. I asked him what was going on and why he isn't paying his portion. He basically told me that he was given no me what could. At this point he was contributing 10%. I was working a lot of overtime to maintain the home, was getting burnt out. This went on, along with many conversations where he would promise to do more, until now. I have a salary position now, so overtime is not an option. I had to borrow against my 401k to keep everything going. I recently told him that if he doesn't help, then I'm going to get a second job. He told me just don't burn yourself out. I have been mentally checked out of this marriage for a few years now. I worked multiple jobs as a single mother, and now finding myself doing the same thing. But now with a husband, he turns down counseling and doesn't want to talk about money. I don't know what else to do. Any advice would be greatly appreciated.